I'm going to refer to this book in this half hour. This is the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment. Hello, Sarah. It's by Lama Tsongkhapa, and if you can read English, I recommend you to try to get this book. It's published by Snow Lion, and it's not very expensive actually on Amazon. The other book, which I'm going to use later and is also important for this module, is called The Heart of the Path. And this is by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Now, in this book, there is a chapter, which I'm going to refer to now, which is called Relying on the Teacher. So I'm going to refer to that. And this is volume 1. Maybe if you can email everybody with how to access these two books, that would be really helpful. So some people, if you want to get them, they would be very useful. I mean, this is a big book, and it's hard work, but I read it 3 times. Actually, I read them both 3 times, come to think of it. And they're very wonderful books. This book is by Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and it is based on his teachings. So his transcripts of his teachings have been edited to make this book. And actually, this book is really a commentary on the chapter in this book called Relying on a Spiritual Teacher. So this book was written in Tibetan 600 years ago. And now it's translated into English, and it's very contemporary, the style of the English. And in future, it should be translated into Hebrew, definitely. It's in 3 volumes, actually. This is the first volume. And hopefully this book also could be translated into Hebrew in due course. Recently it was translated into Russian, and my friends in Russia are very, very happy to be able to read that in their language. It's much better to read books in your own language, as I'm sure you know. But meanwhile, it seems that you understand English, at least to listen. I don't know about reading, but... Okay. So, before I look at a small section from here, I want to talk a little bit about the nature of the relationship between the spiritual teacher and the student. Really, this is about learning Dharma. So, I'm sure that you all know the word Dharma. It has lots of different meanings, actually. I mean, we can use the word Dharma just to mean reality. So when we learn Dharma, we're actually learning to be realistic instead of the normal distortion that we make in our approach to reality. But also Dharma refers to all the methods that we use to arrive at understanding the truth or reality. And in that sense, Dharma is the teachings and also the practices, the meditations, the ways of thinking, and the behavior also in daily life in order to achieve freedom from suffering. And eventually to achieve enlightenment so that we can help others to be free from suffering. All others. This is the main goal of Mahayana Buddhism, which means the great vehicle, which is the topic of this book, is all the practices of the great vehicle. Great means leading to the complete potential of the living being. We each have the potential to become enlightened. We can all become Buddha. We have the potential of Buddha already inside us. And so the Dharma is the path also for purifying and developing what is already inside us so we become Buddha. And for that, we need a teacher. And there are different kinds of teacher. In fact, we could say there's very, very, very many kinds of teacher. but we found it helpful to talk in terms of 4 different types. And the first one is your peer, someone who is your equal, like your friend. It could be the person sitting next to you right now. Somebody who is also trying to practice Dharma, like you. They may know more than you about something, or you may not know more than them about something, but when you discuss, you can learn something. Even if you know better than them, when you discuss, you learn something, because you express your understanding, and they can ask you a question. Also, you can ask them questions. So this is learning between equals or peers. And it's the first kind of teacher. And we all need that, actually. It's really, really helpful. Otherwise, it's rather lonely. But when you have spiritual friends, someone you can just have a coffee with and chat about these things, it's very nice. Okay, then the second kind of teacher is somebody who is what we call senior, or more experienced, or sometimes in English we say elder. Doesn't mean necessarily older in age, but older in knowledge. They're still also a student like you, but maybe they've been learning longer than you. And so sometimes you ask them, and sometimes they're helpful, sometimes they're not helpful. But you feel I can rely on them to some extent. I can rely on them a bit. And so, you ask them, and sometimes they know the answer. And if they're honest, they will tell you when they don't know the answer. I mean, all the teachers should say that. If they're never honest, then it's not going to work, actually. So this is the second kind. And you would find this in a group like this. Even when you get to know each other, you will become aware that some people are more senior, in the sense they've been studying and practicing for longer than you, and they know a little bit more than you. You're not taking them as your guru or something. You're not taking them as your spiritual teacher, but you are learning from them. Now that's very useful. That's the second kind. The third one is somebody who is an expert. This means they've studied very thoroughly. Very thoroughly. So, for example, sometimes you have some Geshis coming to Israel. You had Geshe Kelsang Wongmo. Did some people meet her? Yeah. And Geshe Tenzin, Geshe Gyatso? Ken Gyatso. Okay, so there are several, I think. Several Geshis came. And these people are experts because they studied in the monastery for maybe 20 years. And they really know accurately what the Buddha taught. And so when you ask such a person a question, they usually know the answer, and usually their answer is correct. So this person is very reliable. Maybe not perfect, but nevertheless, you can rely generally on such a person, an expert. It's similar to a university professor. When you go to university, there's some top professor who is very knowledgeable in her subject or his subject. You can rely on that person. But still, you don't take that person for your guru. This is important. So the fourth one is the guru. So this is a different category of relationship. And it's important to know that it's not necessary at the early stage to have a guru to learn Dharma. It's important to know that. If you do have a guru and it's a pure positive relationship, of course, it's very, very helpful. It's very wonderful. But it's not something to jump into straight away. If you meet somebody who you think, maybe this person is my guru, you are advised to check that person carefully for a minimum of 2 years. And maybe even 12 years, they say. So don't just fall in love with a guru and say, oh, it's my guru. This is a little bit risky because sometimes it goes wrong. Because somebody can be very charismatic. They can appear to somebody who, wow, this person opened my mind, I feel amazing when I'm near this person. But then later some problems can come. So you need to check very carefully. You need to ask a lot of questions. You can even ask the person directly about you can ask them anything. And if you choose somebody as your guru, you don't need to have a discussion with them about it. It's in your mind. But when you choose them, the moment you choose somebody as your guru, from that moment on, you need to see them as fully enlightened Buddha. You might say, well, that's impossible, because it's just a human being. In that case, you're not ready to take a guru. In that case, you should stay with one of the first three. The peer, the equal friend, the senior, the older student, somebody who is, or the expert. None of these is a guru. But with the guru, it becomes a very different kind of relationship. Now, the guru relationship is the main topic of this module. And maybe one or two of you do already have a guru, so it will help you to understand more about that relationship. But if you don't have a guru, one of the purposes of the module is to help prepare you so that if in future you meet somebody, you'll have some idea what to expect. How should I think about this person? How should I relate to this person? How should I use that opportunity? Okay? So it's up to you. Nobody can tell you, I am your guru. And nobody can tell you, that person is your guru. You decide, personally. It's your responsibility, completely. Okay. Does anybody want to ask a question at this point?
How can we check whom do we talk to? And does the guru always accept your wish and becomes your guru? Or he might say, I'm sorry, but I'm not the one for you?
Okay. So, how we check is what I'm going to talk about in a minute. I'm going to talk about the qualities of the guru and the qualities of the student. So that is one way to check both that person and also yourself. And in terms of the guru saying no, then it may be that the guru can see more deeply than you that there's not really a suitable connection here. So don't take it as a complete rejection, but just feel this person probably is wiser than me, and maybe it's not time for me to follow that. But traditionally, they don't always speak about it, actually. Traditionally, it's your decision. You don't have to mention to the person that you take them as your guru. That sounds strange. But actually, it's your relationship in your heart, and it's you that benefits. And generally, these potential gurus, the kind of person who can be a guru, is benefiting everybody. That's very important. Okay.
You talked about 4 stages of knowledge, kind of.
Yeah. Or relationship.
Yeah. Relationship and knowledge, in a way.
Right.
The elder and...
No, knowledge might be... it's not about knowledge, actually. It's about relationship. 4 levels of relationship. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe still... The
It's
question
not...
is valid.
Uh-huh.
So does this mean that the guru is the highest level of relationship, but does not have to be the highest level of knowledge?
Absolutely. It does mean that. So then the question is, if it's not about knowledge, what is it about? And it's about, the guru is somebody who has the potential to transform your mind at a very deep level through your relationship with that person. They can lead you to a deep level of self-transformation. The expert can help you with your intellectual knowledge. Very good. Very important. I don't want to say anything negative. It's good. But it doesn't take you to the deeper level. The elder student can really help you with advice and, sort of help you on the way. But you don't rely on that person fully, because they're like you. They're another student. And your equal friend This is just somebody, you travel together. But the guru is somebody with whom you can go very deep. But that depends on this very deep trust, which this is why we have to be cautious. Okay. Yes, one more. Last question. Yeah. Yeah, I expect that.
Maybe everybody understood what you said. Everybody accepts. I'm afraid for me, you're talking Chinese.
Okay.
I'm a student in Buddhism, 2 years. I'm coming from there listening to curious, I don't know what you're talking about. What is guru? Why do I need a guru? When will I need a guru in 20, 40 years? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. I understand that in my conversation,
okay. I understand your question. So the answer is, if you really want to know, then study this module, because this module is designed to help you to understand the answer to that question. And I cannot just answer you quickly in 1 minute now, but through the 3 meetings, hopefully it will become clearer. And then towards the end, you can ask me again, and then you can say what you didn't understand. But
I didn't understand what I did understand.
Either. So first of all, I'm going to talk about, there's 10 qualities that we should look for in the spiritual teacher. So this will help you to decide whether somebody is suitable or not to be your spiritual teacher.
Any spiritual teacher?
Particularly the guru. Somebody, I think we're talking about the guru in general, yeah. So first of all, they should be disciplined. It means that they are ethical. They are living ethically. That means not harming others. Okay? So you can check, you can observe. This is why you need the 2 years. Observe how this person behaves. Are they living ethically? Secondly, they should be serene. It means that their mind is calmed through concentration. You can check, you can usually tell how somebody's mind is when you check carefully. Yes?
What was the word?
The word was serene. Serene. Yeah, thank you. Okay, the third is that the person is thoroughly pacified. This means that they have an understanding of no self. They have an understanding that there is no true self to be found.
We can understand that he knows that there is no self.
You have to, for over 2 years, you can check if you think that person knows that. I agree, it's not always easy, but you can sense it. Or you can ask questions and find out. You can also ask their students that already follow them what they understand this person teaches. So this is the sort of thing you can check. The fourth one is that they have good qualities surpassing or more than the qualities of the students. So that means that when you observe this person, they have many good qualities like generosity, kindness, patience, not becoming angry easily, these kind of things. They don't display jealousy or pride. On the contrary, they are a kind, warm-hearted, ethical, patient person, and so forth. So if they have good qualities which are more than yours, then it's also good. The next one is that they are energetic. This means that they have enthusiasm for teaching the Dharma. They want to share the Dharma. You can tell. Some people, they don't say anything. They just present a negative face. But you can also check this. It says here they have a wealth of scriptural knowledge. It means they're rich in learning the Dharma from the text, from the traditional texts, from the teachings of the Buddha, from the commentaries on the teachings of the Buddha, and so forth. If they don't know anything about those, then they don't have that. Okay, so that is the first 5. And then possesses loving concern. This means that this person shows a loving attitude towards her or his students. That is very important. A compassionate person. You can tell when somebody is loving and compassionate. Or you can tell when they're not like that. So this is a very important quality. Some people say this is the most important quality, actually. And you can see that it's crucial. If they don't have that, then you wouldn't be able to feel comfortable with that person. Has thorough knowledge of reality. This, at the best, this means that they have a direct realization of emptiness. Direct realization of emptiness. But of course, we can't tell really what somebody's level of realization is, and they're not going to tell us what it is. Maybe they have a good conceptual knowledge of emptiness. But this one, anyway, means that they should really know that. Because that is the goal of the Dharma, for us to understand emptiness. Emptiness means the ultimate truth of how things are. This is the reality which I mentioned is the meaning of the Dharma. Okay, the next quality is skill in instructing disciples. This means, well, there are many meanings to it, but it means they actually know how to teach. They know how to teach you. They know how to share the Dharma with you, so you learn. And maybe they have many students, so sometimes they have to use different methods with different students. And they speak to you directly in a way that helps you personally. That means they're skillful in teaching the Dharma. Okay. And the final one is that it says here, abandoned dispiritedness. And what this means is sometimes the teachers get very fed up when the student asks the same question many times. But the one who doesn't get fed up is a good one. That means that even if you're quite a stupid student, they don't get impatient with you. They let you ask many times, like that. Okay, so those are the 10 qualities.
So it's like patience?
Patient with the student, yeah. Especially, you see, sometimes when you're teaching, it's like people really don't get it. So then you could say, oh, well, I'm going home. Or you stay and you continue to try to help them to really understand. Yeah. Like that. Okay, so these 10 qualities were taught by Maitreya, who was a direct student of the Buddha. And this is something that is followed traditionally as a guide to what we should look for when we're looking for a teacher. And it's quite important point that the Buddhas cannot wash away our negativities. The Buddhas can't do that. All they can do is point the path to us. It's we who have to follow the path. It's we who must purify our mind. It's we who must develop our positive qualities. So the point about the teacher is the teacher cannot do it for you. The teacher can just indicate the path to you. Now there's 3 particular qualities of the student. And if we don't have these qualities, we can't be a good student. So this is, for us, this is also very important. We have to check ourselves. Am I able to be a good student? And the first one is that the student is non-partisan. It means they don't take sides. They don't take sides. Sides. They don't take sides. What this means is that you don't think, you don't get angry with people who follow a different path. You respect others. when you're listening to the teachings, you don't immediately go into confrontation. Like, I reject, I reject, I reject. Of course, if you're like that, you can't learn. Also, you don't do the opposite. You don't say, oh yes, everything you say is true. Non-partisan means not biased, not prejudiced. Open mind. Open mind. To listen with an open mind. If you hear something that you don't understand, or initially you think, that doesn't sound true, you still keep an open mind. Maybe I need more time, like that. So somebody who is able to be open to learn gradually, that is important. That is non-partisan. You see, we see in politics, for instance, immediately this person from the other side says something, this person criticizes. They don't even listen to what that person says. We should not bring that attitude into the Dharma, otherwise we can't learn. Don't immediately think, I'm going to reject what I'm told. Listen with an open mind. You may learn something. You may not learn everything. Maybe when you go home you think, well, 90% of what I heard doesn't mean anything to me. But there was something that was really useful. That is useful. If you reject everything, then you don't receive anything. Okay. The second one is being intelligent. The student must be intelligent. What does this mean? It means to have a critical mind of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Just because the teacher says something doesn't mean you have to agree. You have to think carefully. What do I think? Okay. Now it might seem that these first two are contradictory, but they're not. The first one means having an open mind, but the second one means thinking critically about what you hear. Okay? This is an intelligent approach in life, isn't it? Not to immediately believe something just because somebody says so. Even if Buddha says it, we are not supposed to believe something just because Buddha said it. Buddha told us that. Buddha said, don't believe it just because I say it. Check my words the way somebody buying gold will check the gold. You wouldn't buy gold unless you're really confident that it's real gold. Otherwise it's a waste of money. You should check the Buddha's teachings the same way. This is what it means to be intelligent. If you find it to be helpful, if you find it to be true, then you can follow it. The Dalai Lama is very strong on this one, because in the East, there's many Buddhists who just follow because of culture. Well, you can see this in all communities, actually. You see it in the Jewish community, you see it in the Muslim community, you see it in the Christian community, you see it in the Buddhist community. If you're born into a family of a particular religion, then probably, or no, maybe, I don't know, but anyway, if you just follow without thinking, it's not being intelligent. If you question and think about it and then follow, that's fine. Okay, so that's the second. And the third one is to be diligent. It means to work hard. A good student works hard to study. Working hard. Yeah. If you are lazy, you can't study. You can't learn anything. So these three: non-partisan, intelligent, and diligent. If you have these three, then you are suitable to be a student. And if you meet a teacher with all 10 of the qualities, it's fantastic. But it also says this is quite rare. So usually you have to be satisfied with maybe some of the qualities. Some of the qualities. So it may be that there's some weaknesses, but still you can take somebody as your teacher. Okay. So that's the introduction to that topic. And yes, of course.
What I understood in three categories being a student is that all three are in the level of knowledge.
Sorry.
No?
The first, no, that's not necessarily so. Sometimes your equal, your fellow student, is very knowledgeable, but you're just chatting. Sometimes the senior student usually is more knowledgeable, yes. And the expert is more knowledgeable. But the guru usually has more knowledge, should have more knowledge, yes. But doesn't mean that the guru is more knowledgeable than the expert.
No, I didn't mean that. It's like, I'm talking about the student.
I'm sorry.
Okay?
My mistake.
And it's like it's requested from the student to be intelligent, to be
non-partisan.
Non-partisan. Yeah.
Not partisan, and the third one is
Diligent.
to be intelligent.
Yes.
And diligent.
Yeah.
And but it's like what is missing for me, or maybe I don't understand in the end, is is the request of being that knowledge. It's not in the level of the knowledge to know something. It's to be that knowledge.
Yeah.
And to behave according to that knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's not being said.
היא שואלת, איפה הקיום של האדם? כאילו האדם יודע, הוא לא פרטיזני, הוא לא כאילו מחפש הפרדות בין דתות אחרות, הוא גם יודע לחשוב בצורה אינטליגנטית על הלימודים, הוא גם נחוש בלימודים שלו, אבל איפה הידע שיש לו? איפה זה נמצא?
לא, למה, מה שאני שואלת, I will say it in Hebrew, מה שאני שואלת, זה נדרש מהסטודנט, להיות חכם, כן? להיות מישהו שהוא...
אינטליגנטי.
חכם.
כן, בסדר.
שהוא משקיע, אבל לא שהוא יהיה הביטוי של מה שהוא יודע.
שלא יכיר את עצמו של זה.
וזה מה שלי חסר, כי הרי...
She asked, where's the being of the student?
Well,
It doesn't act upon knowledge.
So maybe I can be very intelligent. I would read all the books, but
when I said intelligent, I didn't say intelligent means reading all the books, and I didn't say intelligent means a lot of knowledge. I said intelligent means listening with a critical mind. That's what you need. And in terms of not being partisan, it means listening with an open mind. So those two are the most important, and then diligent means willing to work hard. Now what comes from that will be to live the way you study, which is what you said. That is going to be the result. But that comes later. When we're beginning our studies, we don't even understand the teachings yet. So we need to be open, critical, and hardworking. Then, if we have a good teacher and a good relationship, your result, which you mentioned, will come, definitely. It will come naturally. What you say is true, but that's the purpose. The purpose is to become what we study. You're right. The intellectual knowledge is not the purpose, but it's sometimes we have to start somewhere. So we start with study, then we reflect on what we heard, and then we meditate and go deep. But if we meditate without study, then we can meditate on anything, and we don't necessarily transform ourselves. Okay?